So here we are at the end of the semester, and we've talked about an awful lot of things this semester. We have wrapped our brains around topics like the ethical impacts of technology across domains like privacy, copyright, intellectual property, social media, biotech, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, creativity. I'm sure I've missed a few in there. And we've also played with lots of different technology as we've gone through the course of this semester. We've wrestled with some really big questions. Hopefully you've thought a few thoughts. And it's hard to believe when you're in week one of a class, week 15 seems so far away. It feels like forever to get to the other end. But it's just a matter of perspective, kind of like this quote over my shoulder, that shoulder, where it says, he was constantly reminded of how startlingly different a place the world was when viewed from a point only 3 feet to the left. You know, think about that for a minute. If you're sitting there looking at something and then you sidestep a little bit, you're still mostly seeing the same thing, but you're seeing something a little bit different. So hopefully this semester you've done a little bit of sidestepping and thought about things in ways you hadn't thought about before. And the big question for me at the end of the semester is, how do I leave you with a deep sense of the big questions surrounding humanity and technology? We've played with some technology that makes us question, what does it even mean to be human? Like, if the computer can do all the stuff we can do, what is it that we do that makes us human? So I don't know if we'll have the answer to that question. But what I'd like to do is go over a couple of things that we're going to look at this week to give you an idea. And then at the end of the week, the final is going to be open and that'll have its own video. So I'm not going to go into any details on that. But let me do a quick screen share. Make sure I pull up the right window because I got like a million windows open. And so when you come here, this is what you'll see. And of course, you'll see a link to the video that you're watching right now because you're watching it right now. But down under the think and learn, I only have two things, but one of them's kind of long. I want to say it's like 45 minutes long, give or take a couple of minutes. And the speaker's not like a super dynamic speaker, but she's talking about some really important things. And for me, I found them really interesting things. Her name's Catherine Flick, and she's talking about the Association of Computing Machinery's Code of Ethics, which, if you recall, if you loop back a week or two, a couple of weeks, we actually looked at that, the ACM's Code of Ethics. And she's talking about ideas about how to reflect on these ethical issues and how to think about your job through the lens of ethics and responsibility. That applies to anything, not just a technology job. So it's got relevance across the board. And and then she gives some suggestions for what developers, like software technology developers, can do to deal with these ethical issues. Now, the page that it's on is, it's a kind of a messy page, but there's no way that I could find it, embed the video directly, like it's not up on YouTube or anything. So if you open up, when you open this up, you'll see there's a direct link to the article in the video. That'll pull that up. I did download the audio only file. She does show some slides, and the slides are available. I should probably link those on here. The slides are available on that, and the slides are a little bit of a mess too. And then there's a text transcript. But again, overall, it's a pretty interesting listen. So I maybe listen to it at 1.5 speed or something. Listen to it kind of off the side while you're doing some other stuff, and then pay attention when it sounds interesting. But I found it pretty interesting. Now, this next resource I was super excited to find. And it's going to seem a little weird. And this one's only 4 minutes long. If you can watch this one before Zoom this week, that would be fantastic. We're actually probably going to take the time to let you watch it in Zoom because it's that important. This little video frames the entire class. And I know that sounds weird. And when you watch it, you're going to go, what is she talking about? So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Why did I put that video in here? And what does it have to do with this class and all the things that we've been learning about all semester? So jumping down to the do section, this is game week. I didn't give you a big project to do because you got a final to do and you've got the portfolio project to finish up. And so this week we're going to play 2 games and we're going to loop back around to that trolley dilemma. Remember? Do you remember that? We did that like right in the beginning. I want to say week 1, week 2, like right there in the start. And so MIT created a website called the MIT Moral Machine. Let me click over to that. And it's put together some scenarios. Now, full disclosure, they're using this to collect research data on how people make choices. And so it'll be interesting to see what you have. You're definitely going to want to play this game. You start judging, you can browse scenarios and view the instruction. I've got this video is embedded in Moodle if you want to click on that and just kind of watch what they're talking about here. But start judging, and then when you get to the end, pay attention. Now, it forks in 2 different ways. So sometimes you get to the end and it asks you if you want to complete, I think it just says you want to complete a survey or something, or do you want to add more demographic information? Just a warning, if you do that, it's a big long thing. And then it gives you the results. But again, they're collecting research data from MIT for MIT. I usually just say no on that, but it's up to you. You can do it if you want or not. But anyhow, the point is get to the end and do a screen, do a screen capture, do something so that you can keep track of how your results were. And then say, were you surprised? It's going to tell you like some demographics. It's going to give you some interesting information when you're done playing this game. So the second game I have up here is one called AI Dungeon. Some of you might have played that before. When you go to AI Dungeon, this reminds me of in the olden days, like some of the first video games were text-based, and you'd launch into this scenario and it would say, there's a gnome on the right with a bag of gold, and you'd have to go ask him for the gold. And then you could buy things and you'd have to but all text-based. You type it all out, turn left and go down the corridor and pick up the coin on the floor, things like that. This reminds me of that because it's all text-based. And if you log in, and I just log in with my Google account, keep it short and sweet. I should have logged in ahead of time, huh? Let's go, 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 go. So it's going to set it up and it's going to drop you in here, and you can explore this whole site if you want. Like there's a lot of stuff here. Or you can just hit play. Now I'm going to go right into the quick start. But like I said, there's other things you can do here. I'm going to go into the quick start, loading the adventure. And what it does is it comes up, well, it lets you pick. So let's see. Let's do a mystery. And I will be the doctor. Enter your character's name. How about Gilroy? So you do a little bit of setup, and then it's going to generate a story based on that. And this game has been out for a couple of years. So this was out before ChatGPT. This was out before a lot of stuff. Let's see. Do I want to participate in improving the AI? Sure. Okay, you are Gilroy, a doctor living in Chicago. A patient is brought to you in a coma. No one knows who he is, just that he collapsed in front of the hospital with a note in his hand and a pendant in his pocket. As you examine him, you discover he's not only in a deep coma, but he also seems to have no bodily fluids, including blood. No blood, no bodily fluids, no breathing. A very different coma from the one you thought he was in. So what do you do? And now you have to make some statements. Take the pendant out of his pocket and examine it. Maybe there's some clues. So you type in what you're going to do, and it says you take the pendant out of his pocket and examine it. And so it generates a response based off of what you put in. What do you think? Is he dead? I don't know. I'm not sure what this is. Anyhow, you can keep, I'm not going to do that in the video here, but play the game out, play it out for 10 or 15 minutes. And when you're done, see if you can copy the transcript. It will give you a transcript of the game, or you can get a transcript of the game. So see if you can get that. Oh, and you can go back and edit. So you notice, up here, just it's giving me the option to edit some things. Play the game for a while, see what happens, and see what you think. Okay. That's kind of the big thing. Let me stop screen sharing. That's pretty much the big thing that we're going to do this week is you're going to finish your portfolio project. I'll put up part 3. You're going to play the games. You're going to think some big thoughts. And you're going to consider, in the age of technology we're in and all the ethical things that we've looked at, what does it mean to be human? Like, how do we differentiate from the tech? It's a really interesting question. Maybe we'll talk about that in Zoom this week.